everybody? Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on this hump day. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point, CEO of Prime Sports World. Mr. Israel Vera will be joining me here momentarily. This is obviously our week 4, 2022-23 fantasy football ranking show, where we give you our rankings, our top 10 outside looking in, and then our sneaky and daily to help you get ready for your fantasy week. So your fantasy lineup is nice and fresh, so you'll be ready to go. Before we get started with anything fantasy football related, I just want to give my thoughts out to anybody who's been impacted by Hurricane Ian. I don't know if anybody knows this about me or not. I lived in Panama City when Hurricane Michael came through, so nobody understands what it's like to go through a hurricane like that, like I do. I did have power running water for almost a month at my apartment. Luckily, I worked at a TV station at the time, so they took care of us pretty well. But if you are in the impacted zone of a Hurricane Ian, my thoughts and prayers are out to you. Hopefully, you're going to be okay. And just I promise you, it does get better. That's all I can really say. But yeah, I've been David Huppin. Let's talk a little bit of fantasy football stuff. Real quick, if you're looking for players to maybe add to the waiver wire, because maybe there's some players out there that you want to add to your roster in fantasy. I got a couple names here that should be able to help you out. Some guys you can pick up and maybe help you. DeAndre Swift probably is going to be injured and may not play a lot in this game. So he's somebody to for sure add. Jamal Williams somehow, for some reason, sitting there in your fantasy. He's available in your fantasy football league for some reason. You should for sure grab him. Khalil Herbert. David Montgomery suffered an ankle injury and a knee injury early in the first quarter. He's really doubtful. He may not play in this game week 4. Not to mention they're playing the Giants. They may not need him to play in that game. So that's somebody to keep an eye on. Romeo Dobson, sneaky player for Green Bay. Along with Sammy Watkins is going to be out, along with Christian Watson. Watson. He's going to miss the game too. He led the target share there, and he obviously has a rapport there. And Rodgers played pretty well in this game, so he's definitely somebody to keep an eye out when it comes to week number 4. When it comes to fantasy football, if you're looking for people to add that are just kind of available, that's a good player to add right there. I got some other guys as well. Hold on a second. Alexander Mattinson, Dalvin Cook shoulder injury, may shelve him on a little bit. Either way, he's still willing to own. Dalvin Cook seems to get injured a lot, so try to grab him. Wide receiver Zay Jones played pretty well. I know they're going up against a really good Philadelphia Eagles defense this week, so it's not ideal when it comes to the guy you want to pick up and start. But this is a guy you can definitely keep on the radar. Russell Gage. Roster in 56. As long as Chris Akawa and Julio Jones is coming, this guy's going to be wide receiver 2. Tom Brady obviously has some trust in him. So look for him to continue his kind of production out of the backfield, out of the wide receiving core there for Tampa Bay moving forward. Greg Dorch, you're going to see him later as my sneaky and daily guy, but this guy he's been awesome. He had 17 points in week 3 and 10 targets. AJ Green has been injured. This guy has earned his chance to be on many fantasy rosters. Matt Collins, with Hunter Renfrow being out in week 3 because of concussion, Matt Collins was the guy who 8 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown, 10 targets, the same number as Devonte Adams in this game. As long as Hunter Renfrow remains out, which he should be back in this game potentially, Matt Collins is somebody you could definitely grab. Devontae Parker, another guy, Zay McKenzie, and Joshua Palmer, if he's available for some reason in your fantasy football league. Tight ends, Tyler Conklin. Talked about him a lot last week. He obviously has some sort of rapport with Joe Flacco. I know Zach Wilson is coming back if in this game actually, but he's somebody to definitely pick up and potentially start if you're thin at tight end. David Njoku is my tight end actually in a really deep league. I've been really happy with the production I've gotten out of him since the season started. At least somewhat. Trevor Lawrence coming off back-to-back 2 games in a row. Pretty impressive. I do not think he's going to play well against the Philadelphia Eagles because nobody is going to play well against the Philadelphia Eagles this season, but he's definitely somebody to grab and stash and put on your lineup and your bench. And Marcus Mariota, as long as he continues to be the starter, his ceiling is not that high, but his floor is extremely high when it comes to Marcus Mariota. He'll give you those rushing touchdowns. He'll give you those running yards, and he'll give you the passing yards. He's been pretty solid. As the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and in fantasy, you can pick up and start that guy for sure. And then the defense. If the Eagles are for some reason available in your fantasy league, you should absolutely own the Eagles defense. They are the best defense in fantasy right now. They are just awesome. Also, the Bears and Giants could be somebody sneaky that you could pick up and start if you stream your defenses on a regular basis, like a lot of people do. Welcome into the show, CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Rivera. How are you, man? What's up?
What's going on, man? Look at David holding down the show without me for 5 minutes here. I heard you, man. I was over there sharing the show, and I'm like, oh, look at David talking about waiver wire pickups.
Yeah. We should have mentioned that yesterday, but whatever. We run the show on Wednesdays. But yeah, let's talk about anything going on with your fantasy life. I had a really nice bounce back week off a really poor week the week before, where I lost a fantasy team I told you about. But yeah, I won some money on DraftKings, starting to line up there. And all of my teams, a clean sweep across the board for all my fantasy teams, except for the team in our league. Probably beat me by like 8 points because of Saquon Barkley.
Who beat you by 8 points because of Saquon?
Bobby.
Bobby, shotgun Bobby.
Shotgun.
That's an inside joke, everybody. That's an inside joke.
Dalton Schultz's cousin, Bobby.
For everybody, we always shout out Bobby Schultz. But that shotgun Bobby story is hilarious.
It's so funny.
And we're not even gonna go over it.
No, that's about as far as it needs to go. Let's start talking about our ranking. Let's jump right into those pass throwers. Talking about them quarterbacks. Me and you on the same wavelength when it talks about number one. This is gonna be a recurring trend, I think, this season. Jalen Hurts, number 1. 2, Kyler Murray. 3, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I think you predicted last week that he'd be the number 1 scorer in fantasy last week. I believe he was. 4, Josh Allen. 5, Justin Herbert. 6, Joe Burrow. 7, Jared Goff. I know I'm really high, Jared. Oh, you are too, man. But yeah, that Seattle Seahawks defense is not good, and Jared Goff seems to have a good rapport with his wide receiving core, especially with DeAndre Swift being banged up. I look for them to get in the air. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes at 9, and then my 10 is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I think he's going to have one of those games, a virtuoso, if you will. Going against the New England Patriots and that lackluster offense. Then my outside looking in, I got Marcus Mariota, Derek Carr, and Tua Tagovailoa. And then my sneaky and daily is also Jared freaking Goff. If you have an opportunity to start him in daily, do it. He's going to be good.
Man, Jared Goff is going to be good, man, this week. Going up against
Seattle Seahawks.
He's going to run it up. And definitely. Golly, who do I have? I have Matt Ryan. I mean, Marcus Mariota's cheap as well. I think he'll have a good game, even though they'll probably lose. But yeah, definitely Jared Goff is cheap right now. So yeah, go ahead and grab Jared Goff. Yeah, my number 1's Jalen Hurts. We're on the same wavelength right here. He's gonna have a good game against Jacksonville. Number 2, Josh Allen. That's gonna be a shootout with him and Lamar Jackson. And then number 3, Lamar Jackson. I just think it's gonna be a shootout between them. Let me clean my camera there. And then at number 4, I got Justin Herbert. Number 5, I got Pat Mahomes. And then at number 6, Kyler Murray. And then got Jared Goff at number 7. Man, we and you got Jared Goff at the same same ranking. That's crazy. Yeah. And then at number 8, I got Tua Tagovailoa. I just think Tua, going up against Cincinnati, they haven't really been the motto of consistency on defense, and they have a pretty explosive offense there in Miami. And then number 9, Aaron Rodgers going up against a New England team that's pretty much the New England defense that's pretty much going to be on the field all game long. So watch out for Aaron Rodgers this week. And then number 10, right on my top 10 is Kirk Cousins going up against New Orleans. I just think that, they're not going to get much on the ground in New Orleans. So they're going to be passing that football just to try and move the ball. It's going to be, I think that game's going to be a little bit of it's going to be low. I would say like a couple touchdowns. But I think Kirk Cousins.
I think if you throw 2 touchdowns in that game, I think you'll win.
Yeah, he's throwing 2 touchdowns easily in that game, in my opinion. And then I'm outside looking in. I got Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, and Marcus Mariota. Man, I just think Marcus Mariota going against Cleveland. I think they're going to be down a little bit, in that game. So he's going to be throwing the football a little bit. And Marcus Mariota hasn't been bad this year for the Atlanta Falcons. He's got some weapons around him. The offensive line has played okay.
I think the great thing about Marcus Mariota, when I just talked about with possibly picking him up and starting him on your team, his floor is pretty high. Like, because of the rushing yards that he gives you and his efficiency as a quarterback, he's not going to kill you at that position. Like, you're probably going to get like at least 12 points from him no matter what.
Yeah, and he's got some weapons there.
Yeah,
he's got
Drake London.
He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got Cordell Patterson back there. Yep. If he had Calvin Ridley, he'd be that Atlanta offense would be okay, man. I'd be like, wow. Marcus Mariota's on my outside looking in. And then in FanDuel, if you're looking for a cheap option, Matt Ryan, man, he showed me something last week. Look for Matt Ryan to keep it going this week, going up against Tennessee, who's not that great in the secondary as well. I mean, look at
terrible in the secondary.
Terrible. Yeah, terrible. So Matt Ryan at 6,700 is a good deal right there.
And moving on from the quarterbacks to those running backs. I'll let you go first with your running backs.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. Jonathan Taylor, number one, man. I just think Jonathan Taylor going up against going up against Tennessee. The defense is not that good, and I think offensive line is going to be able to dominate in that game. So I like Jonathan Taylor to go over 100 yards this game. Derrick Henry going up against Indy. I just think that last week Derrick Henry got back on track. So why not this week him getting back on track? I know they might get Shaq Leonard back. So that might affect some things, but he's just kind of getting in the swing of things. And even with one guy is not going to be able for the Indianapolis Colts to sew up their problems against the run. And then at number 3, Saquon Barkley, he's officially back going up against the Chicago Bears, who haven't been the model consistency in stopping the run as well. And then number 4, Nick Chubb. At number 5, Austin Eckler. I know I got Austin Eckler a little high. You got him high too, but I just think that with Justin Herbert being hurt, kind of playing through that injury, he can't throw the ball as much. They need to get Austin Eckler going. He's got 80 freaking yards through 3 games. They need to get him going. I think they get him going this week against Houston. And then number 6, I got Christian McCaffrey. At number 7, I got Leonard Fournette going up against KC. That's another team that doesn't stop the run as well. So I think Leonard Fournette will have a nice game against them. And then number 8, Aaron Jones. Number 9, Joe Mixon. Number 10, Cordell Patterson. I just think, even it doesn't matter what defense Cordell Patterson goes against this year. I think he's going to get his regardless. He's just that fast. He's strong.
Especially in a PPR league.
Yeah, he's hard to bring down, and they could use him in a variety of ways. And then on my outside looking in, I got Najee Harris, Jamal Williams, and Alvin Kamara. And the only reason I got Jamal Williams is because DeAndre Swift is a little banged up, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, yep. So he may not play in this game. So Jamal Williams is going to get a bulk of the carries, and he showed out last week a little bit. And then my sneaky in FanDuel is Tony Pollard. Honestly, they utilize Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott a lot in that offense, sometimes on the field together in that offense. And they both take turns. One's in the slot. They use them in motion as a disguise. And then they'll give hand the ball off to Zeke to hand. What a luxury to have 2 running backs like that for the Dallas Cowboys. And Tony Pollard is definitely more explosive at this point in his career than Zeke Elliott is. He showed out a little bit against New York last week. So, Tony Pollard going up against Washington, who hasn't really been able to stop anything. So at 6,000, he's a deal in FanDuel.
And not to mention, Tony Pollard's been a little more efficient with his touches than Ezekiel Elliott has been so far this season. So I think that's a pretty good call. Going into my rankings, I got Nick Chubb number 1. Nick Chubb has just been awesome this season, and he's going up against the Atlanta Falcons team that I know defense has been better, but I think Nick Chubb is just going to be a workhorse. As long as Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, they're going to lean on Nick Chubb big time. Look for him to have another 140-yard rushing game. Number 2, Saquon Barkley, man. I agree with you. He's back. I watched him against the Dallas Cowboys, man. He's running with energy, running with grit. Looks like the Saquon Barkley of old, what we thought we was before the injuries. Good to see him back in kind of his form that he used to be. 3, Austin Eckler. I agree with you. I think as long as Justin Herbert's sort of banged up, I think they should lean on this running game a little bit. I know they just lost Rashawn Slater, which isn't ideal, but I think you're going to need to run the ball more, at least get him more involved in the passing game as well. 4, Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, got him back to back. I'm a little bit down on both of them because I just think that they're going to be I just don't think. I think the three guys ahead of them are just going to be better this week. That's all it really is. 6, Aaron Jones. Still look for him to be productive. Look for the Packers to lean on that running game, especially in a game where they should be up big. Look for them to be Aaron Jones to close the door on the New England Patriots. 7, Joe Mixon. 8, Chris McCaffrey. I like what I've seen out of him so far this season. He looks healthy. He looks back to what he was before the injuries 2 years ago. 9, Alvin Kamara. I'm just going to continue to roll with him until I decided it's not worth it because he's still involved in the offense, but he's got dealing with some injuries. He's been a little bit banged up. He wasn't all that good last week against the Carolina Panthers, so we'll see what happens. 10, Leonard Fournette. Their wide receivers might be banged up, but Leonard Fournette is still ready to roll, especially in PPR. He's been really awesome in PPR leagues. He's up that catching radius, like 5 catches a game out of the backfield. So Tom Brady's been looking for him. Outside looking in, I got Najee Harris a little bit lower because I think he's not totally healthy. Devonte Williams has become a focal point of this offense when it comes to Denver and whatever they call that offense right now. And then 3, Cordell Patterson. I agree with you. I think they use him in a bunch of different ways. He gets a bunch of different touches. He's an efficient running back. Sneaky and daily, Khalil Herbert at 5,700. As long as Dave Montgomery doesn't play, start him. He's going to be awesome. 2, Melvin Gordon II at 5,800. It seems like Javonte Williams is going to be the guy that gets you from the 20s to the 20s. Melvin Gordon is going to be the touchdown guy for this Denver Broncos team moving forward. So Melvin Gordon at 5,800, pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert in FanDuel is at 7,200. So I didn't put him as because he's kind of that mid-tier running back this week with David Montgomery out. So I was I always look for guys that are on the cheaper scale. So Tony Pollard was there. I was like, no brainer.
Yep. Moving on from the running backs to our wide receivers. Number 1, Stephon Diggs, as we talked about on the preview show. We saw what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle did. Who do you not want to see? Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. So I got Stephon Diggs as number 1. Number 2 is Devonte Adams. I just think they got to get it going here, and I think this is a good game to get it going with. Number 3 I might be way high on Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think him going up against the Seattle Seahawks, this is going to be a monster game for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Look for him to have over 150 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in that game. 4, Deebo Samuel. 5, Cooper Kupp. 6, Justin Jefferson. I know that's a tough defense there in New Orleans, but I think Justin Jefferson is going to have a good game. He wasn't really particularly good in the last one, but we'll see what happens with this one. 7, A.J. Brown. 8, Jamar Chase. 9, Mike Evans. 10, Michael Pittman Jr. And then outside looking in, I got CeeDee Lamb, who would have had a monster fantasy day if he hadn't dropped that easy touchdown last week against the Giants. And 2, Mike Williams. 3, Tyreek Hill. I just think that the Cincinnati Bengals they're not going to let Tyreek Hill beat them. So I think Tyreek Hill's a little bit lower on my list than he would be normally. And then my sneaky and daily 1, Greg Dorch, 5,000 in DraftKings. The guy has 17 fantasy points in the last week in week number 3. I still expect AJ Green to be out. And as long as DeAndre Hopkins is still out, it's just the Greg Dorch, Hollywood Brown, Zach Ertz show. And then number 2, Romeo Dobson at 4,500 on DraftKings. He obviously has a rapport with Aaron Rodgers. That is somebody I would for sure start in daily, and I probably will this week.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Greg Dorch is going to be solid this week for them. So yeah, I agree with David on that one. At number 1, I got Cooper Kupp. Easily I could swap Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs out. I think both players have easily.
So the only reason I have Cooper Kupp where I have him, I just think the San Francisco 49ers always seem to play the Niners tough. And they got Cardavius Ward, who's a pretty good corner there in San Francisco now. So I just think they're going to play the Niners pretty tough in this game. That's why I have him at 5 instead of where he should belong at 1.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that the running game of the Rams isn't going to get going so much against the 49ers. So that's why I got Cooper Kupp at number 1. I think they'll lean on. I mean, he gets a lot of touches. I mean, he gets all the targets pretty much in that passing offense. And then at number 2, I mean, literally he could be 1B or 1A. Stephon Diggs going up against Baltimore. I have no faith in that Baltimore secondary to stop Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. At number 3, I got Jamar Chase. Number 4, I got his college teammate Justin Jefferson going up against New Orleans. He had a bit of a rough week last week, but I think this week he'll bounce back in a big way. And then at number 5, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I do. I'm on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's the top 5 wide receiver in fantasy this week going up against Seattle. And then at number 6, I got Devonta Smith, man. Devonta Smith. I don't know why he's not a lot higher on people's rankings going up against Jacksonville, man. I think Devonta Smith is going to be solid this week. I admittedly might be too low on him.
For real.
Yeah, I think I got 2 sets of teammates in my top 10, and then at number 7 I got Tyreek Hill, at number 8 Jalen Waddle, and then at number 9 I got AJ Brown, and then at number 10 round on my top 10 Mike Evans. He's back. He's gonna be targeted a lot by Tom Brady. I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that's any happier to get the number 1 wide receiver back, other than Tom Brady. I'm pretty sure Justin Herbert can't wait till Keenan Allen comes back, but Mike Williams
might happen this week. So
yeah, Mike Williams is making that transition a little easier. And on my outside looking in, I got Michael Pittman Jr. going up against Tennessee. I think he's going to eat. Godly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. And then I got CeeDee Lamb at number 2, and then Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, man, he's been shredding it up this season with Kyler Murray, man. Last week he had – how many catches he had?
I think he had 10 catches last week. Let me double check that just for sure. Marquise Brown had 14 catches last week against that game against the Los Angeles Rams. 14 for 140 in that game. 28 fantasy points in PPR league. Yeah,
no, he was really getting loose on it. And then on my outside looking in, sorry, I'm texting my mom here. And on my outside looking in, on my FanDuel, I got Romeo Dobbs at 5,900, man, going up against New England's defense. I think he's going to be big time in their offense for the Packers this week.
He's emerged as wide receiver 1 for Green Bay. I know Allen Lazard is still heavily involved, but it looks like Romeo Dobbs is going to be the guy he might be the guy this season for the Green Bay Packers for real. He shows like all the talent in the world.
Oh yeah, he's definitely, and he's got the size. He's got the speed. Doesn't look like Christian Watson, their number 1 pick, is looking like the guy. But Aaron Rodgers, like TJ said, Aaron Rodgers has to, this is what he has to work with. So he's got to get those young guys going. And I think, Romeo Dobbs is showing out as, the number 1 guy in that wide receiver room.
Yep. Moving on from wide receivers because we those other pass catchers, our tight ends. I'll let you go first with your tight end rankings.
Yeah, at number 1, I got Mark Andrews, man. He's played like the number 1 wide receiver this season so far. Travis Kelsey has had 2 back-to-back kind of pedestrian games in his for Travis Kelsey. And so, I got Travis Kelsey at number 2. And then number 3, Darren Waller. He just gets a lot of targets. And then number 4, I got Dallas Goedert. He should have a big game going up against Jacksonville. And number 5, Kyle Pitts, going up against Cleveland. I think, he's another guy that just gets a lot of targets in that offense. And if he gets going, Kyle Pitts can, be a top 5 guy this week. And number 6, Tyler Higby, man. He's emerged as like that second guy pretty much in that Rams passing attack with Matt Stafford throwing him the football. So watch out for Tyler Higby as a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy this week. And then at number 7, I got George Kittle. I know George Kittle's just coming back, but I think this is the week that Jimmy Garoppolo, starts to get him more involved. He gets more involved in the offense. You can't sleep on George Kittle. He's a top 5 tight end in the league, top 3 tight end pretty much in the league, in my opinion. 100%. So at number 7, he's low, but that's only because he's coming off an injury. He was sort of lackluster in his first game of the season. So
yeah, he was. Or in game number 3, I own him in a fantasy league. I was pretty disappointed. So
yeah, he was. But I think this week he'll bounce back. And then number 8, I got Zach Ertz. He's been another guy in that Arizona offense that's been consistent as well at the tight end position. And number 9, T.J. Hawkinson. I'm kind of disappointed in T.J. Hawkinson this year. I thought he'd be a lot better this season in that offense. But he's still a top 10 fantasy tight end. He's consistent enough. And number 10, David Njoku. Going up against Atlanta this week, he showed that if David Njoku can play like this every week, like how he did against Pittsburgh.
He's a top 5 tight end. He's a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, he could be a top 5 tight end in the league, and that's the David Njoku that everybody has been,
waiting for.
Looking forward to. Yeah, pretty much. So David Njoku, man, he's on my radar as the top 10 fantasy tight end, and I'm outside looking in Gerald Everett, Pat Freiermuth, and Tyler Conklin. For the Jets, man, they look for him a lot outside of their wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. He's probably their second best target, on the team. And when I look at Gerald Everett, I look at a guy that he's got all the talent in the world. It just depends on whether he could stay focused or not. We saw him sometimes in that one drive against Kansas City where he was kind of fatigued and he was kind of not focused, and he could have caught a touchdown pass.
He cost him the game.
Yeah, in the red. Yeah, he could have caught a touchdown pass easily in the red zone. So Gerald Everett's the guy that
let's just call it what it is. He cost him the game.
We'll call it like it is. And he's normally Gerald Everett is a guy that can be a top 10 tight end in this league, this year, all year. And then in FanDuel, cheap option is Hayden Hurst at 4,800. He's a guy that Joe Burrow looks for a lot as well in that offense as a safety blanket. So Hayden Hurst has been consistent this year. I look for him at 4,800 if you're looking to stack up some other chips on your roster.
Moving on from your tight ends to mine, I know Travis Kelsey said 2 pedestrian games in a row, but I'm not taking him out of number 1. I just can't. The moment I take him out of number 1 is when he blows up. 1, Travis Kelsey. 2, Mark Andrews. 3, Darren Waller. Yeah, we're in the same length, at least in our top 3. Darren Waller's target share has been there. He hasn't exactly had the production that you look for. A guy who has like 1 billion targets in a game. He hasn't really caught that catch. I don't think he even has a touchdown yet this season. But his target share is just enormous, and you can't shy away from that. 4, George Kittle always seems to kill the Los Angeles Rams. So yeah, look for him to have a good game, bounce back from what was a mediocre first game of the season. Dallas Goedert, everything about that Philly offense is just clicking, including Dallas Goedert. If you haven't seen his touchdown in that game against the Commanders last week, it was nice. He split the defenders, it was wild. The 6, David Njoku. I'm banking on the fact that David Njoku is going to be the guy that we saw in week number 3 for the rest of the year, and not the guy we've seen for the rest of earlier in his career, where we're just kind of banking on him eventually breaking out. But this is going to be the guy. This is going to be the year where he's going to finally and having Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback, you need a David Njoku to be that security blanket. I think David Njoku has 12 targets in this game potentially. 7, Zach Ertz. 8, Gerald Everett. I'm a little higher than Gerald Everett. I still believe in the talent, so I'm going to roll with him. 9, Kyle Pitts. Had a good game last week, but it's not all the time that Seattle Seahawks roll into town, and they're not playing the Seattle Seahawks this week, so we'll see how things go. Number 10, TJ Hawkinson had a nice touchdown in their game against the Vikings. Heavily still involved in the passing attack, so look for him to still be productive. But yeah, I am a little disappointed in his production so far this year. And 2, number 1, outside looking at Pat Freiermuth. Pretty big tumble from where I had him last week. I think I had him in the top 5 last week. But as long as he's going to have to continue to block as much, he's going to have to right now with that offensive line in Pittsburgh. His value is limited for sure. 2, Tyler Conklin. Totally agree with you. The guy's been awesome on offense. Look for him to be somebody that whoever the quarterback is for the New York Jets to continue to rely on. And then 3, Tyler Higby. Totally agree. Number 2 option there in the Los Angeles Rams passing attack until Allen Robinson emerges as the guy. And then my sneaky and daily DraftKings, Jelani Woods, man, 2,600. Caught 2 touchdowns last week. And if you're expecting him to catch 2 touchdowns every week, you may be disappointed. But if you think Jelani Woods could get 1 touchdown and 50 yards receiving, that would be pretty good for what you're spending on him. And then Will Dissly, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks, 3,200 there in daily. He might be 2 out of 3 weeks he's had a touchdown for the Seahawks. 3,200 in daily is stupid cheap. And also, he's going up against the Lions defense that can be successful to the tight end and can be successful to the air attack, because that's how they lost 2 of the 3 games that they've lost so far this season.
And we have a question here. So from Alex on YouTube, he asked this question about a trade here. He said, trade Dallas Goedert and McKenzie for T. Higgins, and my other wide receivers are Debo and Devontae Smith, and the tight end is David Njoku. What do you guys think?
All right. Hello? Hey, are we back on? My bad. Hey, my internet dropped out. That's on me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking what was going on? I thought David was frozen there.
Do you know where I was before that glitched out?
No, you were just like this.
No, what ranking was I on? What was I talking about?
I don't know.
I'll just go back through my tight ends, whatever.
No, you're talking about your tight ends. No, I heard your tight ends. After you were done, I asked about the trade. So we
okay, for sure. The trade Dallas Goedert, Isaiah McKenzie for T. Higgins. No.
And my other wide receivers are Debo and Devontae Smith, and the tight end is David Njoku. What do you guys think? So trade Dallas Goedert and McKenzie for T. Higgins.
I wouldn't do that.
No, because T. Higgins hasn't done anything this year.
Yeah, I would make that. I would make that trade.
You would make that trade?
No way. I wouldn't.
No, you got Dallas Goedert and you got David Njoku. Like,
and you're good at wide receiver. I mean, you got Deebo Samuel, Devontae Smith, and Isaiah McKenzie. I wouldn't make that trade at all. No way.
I wouldn't make that trade. That's not a good trade. No, don't make that trade. They're trying to fleece you, buddy.
Yeah, don't make that trade. But yeah, Will Dissly 3,200. Yeah, I think he's been awesome for Seattle so far this season.
No, I like, especially Jelani Woods. I think, he has some red zone potential there in Indy. And Matt Ryan, seems to, Matt Ryan's good with the tight ends in the red zone. So once he finds a guy that he can depend upon, we saw what he did with Tony Gonzalez in Atlanta for many, many years. Look for him, and we saw what he did with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta.
Austin Hooper too.
Yeah,
Austin Hooper got mega paid because of what he did in the Atlanta.
Yeah, so because Matt, you got to think this: Matt Ryan doesn't have the strongest arm at quarterback, so you got to think he relies on the tight end to be a safety blanket, especially in that medium passing game. So look for Jelani Woods to be, have a good year at the rookie, as a rookie this year.
Moving on from the tight ends, we're going to swing into the defenses. Number one, me and you on the same wavelength when it comes to our top three defenses. Packers going up against a terrible offense in New England. Eagles going up against a semi-terrible offense in the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is more about the strength of the Eagles defense than it is the play of the Jaguars offense, because their defense is just so good. I don't care what offense they're playing. If you pick up the Philadelphia Eagles, start them every week, they're going to be awesome. 3 Cowboys going up against the Washington Commanders, who are successful to giving up sacks. They gave up 9 sacks in one game last week. 4 Chargers. They're going to need to lean on that defense. I know they just lost Joey Bosa for a considerable amount of time, but they still got Khalil Mack. They still got J.C. Jackson. They still got the big hitting safety. His name is totally escaping right now. 5 is the Rams, and then my outside looking in is the Jets. I know I got really high on the Jets, but
were you talking about Darwin James?
Derwin James, thank you very much. The Jets going up against a Seattle Seahawks offense, or a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that hasn't been particularly good this season. Yeah, so look for the Jets to give you some production out of the fantasy defense. You're looking for a streaming option. The Jets, you can do much worse than the Jets. 49ers. Number 2, 49ers going up against the Rams. They always seem to play them tough. And Matthew Stafford's had a turnover problem basically this entire season. So look for that to continue against the 49ers. And then 3, Carolina. I just think that there's some value there. I think they can get after the quarterback. It could be a game where they get after Kyler Murray a little bit there and force him to make some mistakes. And then my sneaky and daily is the Giants going up against my Chicago Bears at 3,100. The Bears have proven that Justin Fields will give you one, as TJ likes to say. He's been a turnover machine this season so far.
Yes, man. Man, you know what? That Jets pick, man. That's guts. That's gutsy on your call. That's a gutsy call right there. Because the Jets are. They can either get burnt by the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, who hasn't burnt anybody, or they can really play. They can play really well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sauce Gardner has been a shutdown corner so far. He's looked every bit of the best corner in that draft this year. On the best rookie corner, period, this year. And he's one of the better corners, period, in the NFL. And the Jets kind of, they're pretty solid defensively. So
the Jets are only averaging 3 points a game on defense, but yeah, there's something about it. The Pittsburgh, their offense is not clicking. Look for the Jets so they can get some pressure under Mitchell Trubisky. And yeah, they have Sauce Gardner, who's been a lockdown corner so far this season.
Yeah, he definitely has. And then So, going with my top 3, same thing, David, Packers, Eagles, Cowboys, they all have great matchups. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars have been playing well, but the Eagles defense is really, really, really good. And then to go with their offense, they're going to throw some packages at, Trevor Lawrence. They're going to confuse him. Trevor Lawrence has had a great year so far this year. So, it might be, might go back and forth here, but, I like those top 3. And then Washington, Carson Wentz got hit 9. He got 9 sacks last week. So,
he was sacked 9 times. He was hit 17 times during that game.
17
not even including the sacks. So if you add it all together, 26 times he got hit while dropping back for passes in that game.
And
26 times.
And your pass rushers are DeMarcus Lawrence, my guy Parsons. Micah Parsons. So good luck with that. Good luck with that. Washington trying to guard both of those guys. And then at number 4, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just don't, who's the quarterback for the Jets this week?
Zach Wilson, probably.
Is it Zach Wilson? I mean, first time coming back. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to have a big game this week against the Jets.
I don't hate that call. I think it's actually pretty spot on.
Yeah. And then number 5, I got the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, man. I mean, godly. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo had a tough time going up against Denver. They play each other very well. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Rams, are able to capitalize more on defense than the San Francisco 49ers. And then I'm outside looking in. I got the San Francisco 49ers because they play the Rams so well. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. In this game, I think both teams are going to average, at least 7 to, 10 points or 12 points or so. So it depends. I think the Rams will make more defensive plays in this game than the 49ers will. And then number 2, I got the Cleveland Browns, going up against Atlanta. I just think that they're going to force Matt Ryan into some mistakes, and, they're going to capitalize on some of those. And then number 3, I got New Orleans. They've been a stingy defense all season. So, going up against Minnesota, I know it's a high octane passing attack, but I just think they'll be able to get after Kirk Cousins. I think they'll be able to play good enough defense to warrant themselves as a potential, good fantasy defense this week. And then my sneaky and dailies, the Detroit Lions going up against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, they played really well against Minnesota, up until they started unraveling in the second half or the fourth quarter, really. So, I think this game will be a blowout. I think Detroit can win by 2 or 3 scores this week. If they are, they're going to force Geno Smith into a couple bad turnovers this week.
I love the Lions thing. I think that's a good call. We got another question on the Twitter. Trade James Conner and Cordell Patterson for Jonathan Taylor. I guess I got to know what the rest of your roster looks like. Would you trade James Conner and Cordell Patterson for Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, man. Ooh, man, that's a tough one. It's hard to say that. Like, I didn't know what your other wide receiver, what your other running backs are.
Running backs look like. So he's got J.K. Dobbs. He's got J.K. Dobbins and McKissick.
Ooh,
who would you start? Who would you start at the flex if you did that? Because obviously, right now you will be starting J.K. Dobbins, Connor, and Patterson as your running back 1, 1, 2, and then your flex. So who's your flex guy? If you made this trade. Like, who are your wide receivers?
I know he's watching, so he's got to type it here soon.
I know.
Yeah, I'd go. Honestly, if he's got a decent wide receiver at the flex, I'd make that trade.
I would make that trade. I would.
He's got it's a 3 wide receiver league, so Myers and
Elijah Moore in the flex.
Who?
Elijah Moore in your flex.
Elijah Moore. Is that Jacoby Myers? He said I got Cooper Kupp too.
So who are your 3 wide receivers that you start every week?
Man, I don't know.
Who are the 3 wide receivers? I'm sure he's typing it out, but
I'm so interested to see what his 3 wide receivers are.
Me too.
We're patiently waiting here.
Cooper.
He's was Mooney, but he's horrible.
All right, so you got Cooper Kupp, Evans, Myers, and Elijah Moore, and you got Darnell Mooney. I wouldn't make that trade.
You would make that trade?
I wouldn't. I can't. As much as I love getting Jonathan Taylor for kind of like 2 guys you drafted super late in your draft, if not maybe not at all, I would rather have James Conner and Cordell Patterson to start at my running back 1 and then have him in my flex.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
But the thing is, whenever you're going to make a trade, you always want to get the best player. I mean, you can always pick somebody. Do you know what? I changed it. Trade for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like James Conner, like he hasn't really gotten the yards, and he's so dependent on whether he's going to score a touchdown. And then Cordell Patterson, the team, even though he's getting his, that team's down most games. So Marcus Mariota is going to drop back and pass, Anyways, hey, I like Cordell Patterson, but he's no Jonathan Taylor.
And not to mention, they want to find out if they have anything in Tyler Allegory or whatever his last name is.
Tyler Algier.
Yeah, the guy they drafted in the first round. Like they're gonna, or not the first round, but in this year's draft. So they're gonna want to find out that guy can actually play. So yeah, trade for Jonathan Taylor. Do it.
Yes, trade for Jonathan Taylor. I do it in a heartbeat. Don't even think about it. Just do it right now. Hit the accept button right now.
Yeah, do it. Before we get up out of here, number one scorer in fantasy this week will be who?
Woo! I'm gonna go with Josh Allen.
Jalen Hurts will have a virtuoso against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And
Mr. Virtuoso, baby.
Yeah, but that's been our fantasy show. Thank you very much for watching us. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section. I'll look at them. I'll give you guys some comments. I'll give you my opinion on some trades if you guys put that stuff in the comment section. I love that stuff. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. Israel Rivera. Thank you very much for checking us out. Continue checking us out because we go live every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, tomorrow, games of the week for Prime Sports World. Don't miss that content. And it's Friday. College Football Showdown Friday.
Yes, College Football Showdown definitely on Friday. And your boy's moving to a new place, so I'll have a newer backdrop here. College football definitely coming.
Yeah, we'll see you guys all tomorrow.
I'll let you guys know in the Prime Sports World page if it has to be moved, to next week. Because it depends on my internet, pretty much being moved tomorrow because I'm moving. But I think I'll be good by Friday. So college football will be regularly scheduled program as always.
Absolutely. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. Israel Rivera, CEO of Prime Sports World. And Izzy, what we doing here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace out, brother.